Good morning. Morning. It's good to see everybody. So I am Reverend Sharon Dunn. I'm the senior minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living Sacramento, or the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. And we have a new month of May, which I'm very excited about. We have an annual theme of living everyday wonder, and every month we're going to take a new aspect of living in wonder. And this month is emotions. So, how does this feel? Or I should say, what is the emotion that you experience as you react to this? So, is that better? That's what we're going to talk about this month. And we have a beautiful website. Thank you, Jaime. He does a beautiful job doing our website, and we can find anything and everything about our center on that, including our events, our classes, and people are having me like, fix your mic, move your body. You want me to move this way? Okay. So let me try that. So we have a new book of the month. It is Fear, Essential Wisdom. Thich Nhat Hanh, who just made his transition, a beautiful Buddhist soul. And then for the year, we're using Ordinary Wonder, Zen Life and Practice. So I really highly recommend this book by Thich Nhat Hanh. I will be sharing a quote from it. Oh, hi, Kathy. Who's going Hi, Kathy. So anyway, I have the pleasure of introducing our practitioner of the day, which is a real joy because she's here in person. The practitioner extraordinaire, Martin Lutzow.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We'll start with a beautiful invocation. We got our spice rack. And we're going to first bring in the divine presence of all of us. The one and only, cosmic, universal, loving, harmony, peaceful, all that's God, all that's good. And as I know that presence is right here, right now, I know that I am one and immersed in this beautiful love. And as I know this for me, I know this for each and every one here. And joining our program today, via Zoom, YouTube, all the media that we have in our hands. We're all blessed today. And I bless our service today. I know the message will be for me, but I'll share it with you. And so, bless the service, take a breath, and so it is. And readings today. In the well-balanced person, emotion is controlled by the intellect, but in many people, there is conflict between the emotion and the intellect. Emotion uncontrolled produces chaos. Ernest Holmes. Prayer is a thought a belief, a feeling arising within the mind of the one praying. This feeling becomes a complete belief and a perfect acceptance when the mind is most completely in tune with the infinite. When the emotions are the most constructively aroused, the highest faith comes from the greater spiritual awareness. Ernest Holmes. Nothing else can satisfy or fulfill unless you enjoy the freedom that comes from control of your inner world of mind and emotions. Eric Butterworth. And now it's my pleasure. Excuse me. Our guest musicians today are Ben Barnett and Greg Newline from the Sacramento, California area. Partners in both life and music, Bev and Greg original songs have brought joy to spiritual centers, coffee houses, theaters, living rooms, and street fairs, and even the basement of a bicycle shop. For Bev and Greg, living their lives in the key of love means they start with a groove, add some harmony, and have a whole lot of fun. Please stop by to say hello to them at the table after the service. From graceful acoustic to roots and blues, Ben Barnett and Greg Newline start with a groove and add some harmony and have a whole lot of fun. They call it living in the key of love. Audience call it inspiring, joyful, and memorable. Excuse me. Greg's distinctive guitar style incorporates alternative tunings and partial capos for sophisticated and unexpected chord voicings. Bev's voice is warm and clear. Their deep connection is obvious from the start, and their intertwining harmonies lift their songs of ordinary, extraordinary love and the pursuit of a more peaceful world. Please give a warm welcome now for our very own Bev and Greg. Yay.
Evening, everyone. We're so happy to be here back in at Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living on this lovely May Day. Y'all can get up and move around if you want. This is the perfect time. This is the perfect place. This is the perfect way.
is the perfect time. This is the perfect place. This is the perfect way. This is the perfect place.
So, good morning again. We are talking about emotions. Why? What does that have to do with anything? Oh my goodness. I have a feeling it has to do with everything. Doggone it. So the topic for today is what's on your spice rack? Oh my gosh, what? So I want to give you some context for the topic. And the vast majority of emotion serves to add spice to our human mix. How's that? How about this one? As we lean into learning from emotions and creating balance, our recipe is perfected with just the right blend to create a mixture of harmony, well-being, and growth. Our emotions are like a spice rack that we can spin to find the one that is the focus of the moment. And last, we usually experience a variety of emotions simultaneously since there are so many emotions that are in the emotional spice rack. There is the context for the spice rack and the last time you hear about it this morning. So let's define emotions. I always love to define emotions. And the thing that I really enjoyed in my research for this talk is what can I learn about emotions that's new? And why do I care? And how do I dissect the anatomy of a belief, which is what we're concerned about, right? We're concerned about beliefs. Change your thinking, change your life is the science of mind in a nutshell. So if we think about a belief, we sort of have to figure out how we come to a belief. And we've done this before, right? We have done this before. We know how we come to a belief. But what is really fun this time is that I learned a few things about emotions that I didn't know before. And that's what I like to do each week. I like to find something that I didn't really know before, or that I can see it in a different way. So emotions are reactions. They're physiological. We can't control them. We spend a lot of time listening to, hey, I'm out of control. My emotions are out of control. Control your emotions. I want to do better at controlling my emotions. That's my lead into everything. I'd like to master reactivity so that I could get to response. Again, I want to be Buddha or the Christ. But what I learned this week, which was so wonderful, was that I cannot control my emotions. They just are. They're physiological. They change my blood pressure. They live in the limbic system of the brain and all and the amygdala. And they create the that makes your gut move. And it's very scientific. That's what I learned. It's very scientific. But what we can do with them, is when we decide to put a name to them, they become a feeling. And it's our feelings we can control. So this is really good news for me because I'm emotional. I get so emotional, baby. Right? So emotions are temporary. They just happen and they're gone. But what happens is when we give a name to it, we create a feeling, and then that feeling creates a belief. Only when it's recurring. So if that feeling happens more than once, we categorize it. We put it in a filing system, and we don't have to look at that feeling anymore because we now have a belief in that we define. And so the good news is when we have a feeling that's not working in our life, or let's say this, when we have a belief that is no longer serving us, that is no longer working for us, what we can do is we can get into a spiritual practice of some sort, whether it be seeing a practitioner, seeing a minister, meditation, journaling, reflection, contemplation. We can say, what is it we believe? And we can trace it back to a feeling that we decided on. And we can redefine that feeling, thus changing the belief, thus changing the actual experience of our lives that creates a manifestation. You see how and we've done this before. How many of you have heard my let's dissect the anatomy of a belief? But what we're saying here is, we're saying that there's a possibility to understand things and be more compassionate to ourselves in this way of thinking that I have discovered for myself this week. How many kind of beat yourself up for your emotions? Anybody regret that came out of your mouth? Anybody will, emotions cause us to react instantly. It's instinctual. It's instinctual. And emotions actually help us survive. So if we're afraid of the lion because we're on a safari in Africa and the guide decided to take a break and leave you in the Jeep by yourself, you're going to scream and have a fear-based instinctual reaction that does what? Protects you. Run! Don't run. It depends on what it is. If it's a grizzly bear, don't run, don't make eye contact. There's a whole list of things to do when you have emotions. So let's talk about running from our emotions, facing our emotions, and welcoming our emotions. So we know that emotions are neurological reactions. We know that there's bodily functions that are associated with them. And when we give an emotion a name, it becomes a feeling. Emotions are an incredible resource for us. And we cannot choose them. Does this make sense to anybody? Is this kind of fun to look at? Wow, I can make amends, but I can be more compassionate with myself, because emotions, and this is another thing I learned, that how we say boys don't cry, man up. There's actually hormonal changes that affect emotions, which is why the female, and it can be the female in the male, it's the female, it's the feminine, has hormones associated with it that makes for more emotions than the testosterone doesn't. So there's actually kind of a damping down of access to that instinctual emotion. Isn't that interesting? This is very biological. Now, we can learn to have feelings and to express feelings. You see the difference? So that we can encourage our boys to be in touch with their feelings. we can encourage our children to be authentic, to live full out. But it's not necessarily about emotions. Those feelings last. Emotions don't. Emotions are temporary. Feelings last, like love. We can nurture those feelings. We can grow those feelings. We can decide and define those feelings that best serve our lives. And personally, in my life, for the first time in my life, and how old am I? I'm partnered with someone who's in touch with his feelings. And at first I thought, well, this is an emotional guy. It's not that. This is a deeply spiritual human being that has decided that living full out is best. And let's do it now. We're kind of running out of time here. Are y'all with me here? Is anyone looking at some emotional thing that happened and went, wow, that's okay, I'm okay. I did that. Now, what do we do with those emotions? We examine them. Like that reaction, what happened there? What happened there exactly? Because we can actually literally trace it back to creating an experience in your life that you have to live with. We do not have to live with our emotions. We have to live with our beliefs. So it's best that we examine our feelings. Does that make sense? Anybody have a comment here? Comment?
It'd be good if I could, control my feelings. Like sometimes they get overextended,
Yes,
and I'd like to rein it back in.
yes. And that can be done with our teaching. That is the whole reason we are doing emotions this month. Because at first I thought, really? What am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with emotions all month? But it's extraordinary once you think about it, because there's also a real big difference between emotions and feelings, which we'll get into. So the idea then is to strive for balance, absolutely, with our feelings. And what's really interesting is that when you study feelings and emotions, there are so many different ways people look at it, and they definitely interchange those two words. Carol Marks like, yeah. And really, if you differentiate those two, it's very helpful, because I've done a lot of shame, blame, and framing myself for my emotions. And literally, I have been my whole life wanting to control them. And I'm just so glad I don't have to. I'm so glad to know that it's instinctual. I can't help it. I can't help it. Now, I'm not talking about I can't help my behavior, am I? Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about controlling our feelings. And it's actually one of our principles, our declaration of principles, is that we can control our experience. We can control our healing. And that's another thing about healing your emotions. You can see books written about this. And it's really controlling and healing our feeling. It's really healing our feeling. It's not healing our emotions. Our emotions are simply information. This happened. What happened there? And then take that and do spiritual work. And remember, there's nothing to be healed, only God to be revealed. There's only spirit to be revealed. It's only wholeness to be revealed. So let's start with self-love. I did that thing. I said those things. Why? What happened? And that's the good news here. Is Is this new to anyone else but me? Okay. So we do want to avoid praying it away. We've heard of spiritual bypass. Spiritual bypass is a fun term in our movement that says we don't want to dwell on the negative because that will manifest into negativity in my life and create bad things. And so we just turn away. We're learning not to do that. We're learning to look at what is. And that's really important. And I'm happy about that. And I think, honestly, for 100 years in this movement, we have been using the idea of not giving attention to. What we give attention to expands. We've heard Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was Ernest Holmes' teacher, saw her clients in the dark. She didn't want to see the condition. And I understand that story. I understand not dwelling on the condition. I understand not dwelling on the situation, circumstance. But first and foremost, we have to understand what it is. And then we can move into changing the belief. And so I believe that she was so advanced in her capability from going to point A to point B that she didn't need to see the situation. Does this make sense? So I think we took that literally and we just, no, we're not going to look at anything. And I think that is what's so wonderful about our movement now is that we are looking at things, and that has helped us to become more socially conscious, more racially conscious, more conscious of sexual orientation, of our languaging, of our narrative, of inclusivity, of diversity. And the first thing we did when we started in this changeover was to fight it. I don't want to see your color. We are one. We are one. I don't want to see you that way. And that is so hurtful when someone wants to be seen. When that 2x4 got clobbered over my head, I started to see. Again, my favorite thing ever is to love somebody the way they want to be loved, not the way I want to be loved. And that has taken me my whole life to get to. Like, doggone it. You want to be loved that way? Okay. Okay. I will see you the way you want to be seen. So running from our emotions, we're taught. Anyone taught in childhood to run and run fast from your emotions? Anyone?
Suppress all of them.
Suppress. You know how funny that is? We can't. We can't suppress any of them. I mean, unless maybe I was just thinking, let's just say under normal circumstances. We're not talking about if you're medicated or, some ways of changing brain function is at hand. But in a normal situation, we cannot. Another thing about emotions is that they're not bad or good. We don't get to good or bad until we name them, good or bad. And then we believe they're good or bad. So when good or bad isn't working, we got to go all the way back, not to the emotion, but to the feeling that you gave a name to the emotion. Are you with me? Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. Isn't it kind of fun? I thought it was very fun. So the hidden beliefs, now that's another sermon, the hidden beliefs, because to me, there's nothing hidden. I always say Well, I know what you believe by what you say, by what you do. There's nothing hidden, is there? What's hidden is our willingness to change. That's what's hidden. What's hidden from us. But a hidden belief or a belief that you've accepted and you live by can often sabotage your heart's desire. To me, this is crazy. It's like, I kind of feel like sometimes God sent us here as some kind of wild experiment. Like, I'm going to send you to Earth with a built-in emotional system and watch what happens. Because you sitting here, do you understand that you sitting here, or you here on Zoom, or you seeing this later? Do you understand that you comprehend, you desire, you attract to you a higher idea of your life? Like, you literally want to know this. You want to have your heart's desire. You want to do what it takes to live the life you wanted, to be the person you always wanted to be, and to serve the world from that place. Do you understand that many people live instinctually? Instinctually. React to something, grab a gun, and live there. React to something, you're different, you're not the same color as me, you frighten me, segregate. You understand? We don't go back and just, what else can I name that emotion? I've named that emotion fear, I've named that emotion ew. Ew. What else can I name it? Oh my God. What if I could name it love? I just got scared. How can I get to love? That's an amazing idea. I think that's an amazing idea. So, by facing our emotions, we look underneath them. We gather information from them. I don't know if it's underneath. I find that very interesting. Is it underneath? Is it over? Through? I basically go, what just happened? No, I don't. I'm emotional for a while. What happened there as soon as I can get to it? We can't always get to it right away. Has anyone had an emotional outburst? Just one? One in the back?
Many.
When is the last time you had an emotional outburst?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. That is funny. That is very, seriously. Yesterday. We can uncover the pain, the hurt, we can apply forgiveness, compassion. Isn't this great news? The tough times become learning opportunities. Well, we've heard that how many times? And we don't have to ignore, run, or hide from the pain. We can move into welcoming. We can move into welcoming. I have an Achilles heel. Have you had a situation in your life that repeats itself over and over again, and you wish it didn't? And it always has something to do with my children. I have an inner grizzly bear, and I posted this the other day when Dr. David asked a question about our temper. And I said, well, I have an inner grizzly bear that I have named Ma Barker. Because when something happens to my kids, when someone attacks my children, when someone looks sideways at my children, when someone even says the slightest thing about my children that is not in a perfect, complete and whole light, I have emotions. And I have not learned to move quickly into response. However, I'm starting to forgive myself and know, guess what? I'm a mother. They came from my body. I have instinct. I have instinctual behavior. I'm never not going to do this. And pretty much I can just raise my hand and say, I'm coming after you right now. Because it's going to happen. However, when I give a name to it, I can be more mindful, can't I? I can be more forgiving, I can be more compassionate. I can start with self. I can say, this is familiar. This is not about you. This is about your child. They have their own life. They have their own God. It's not you. And that helps my little mantra. We can create mantras. We can create spiritual practices, especially if it's something that when you define it as a feeling and you make a belief out of it and start to live that, you can go and talk to someone who can help you surgically repair the belief system by starting from not the emotion, but the feeling, So we once taught it was all begins with a thought. I've said that since I've been in this teaching. It all begins with a thought. Thought, then emotion, then feeling, then belief. And now I realize, no, that is not so. It is encounter, emotion, thought, feeling, belief. Does this make sense? And that has changed my way of thinking. When you give an emotion a name, which takes thought, it becomes a feeling. And Ernest Holmes says, thought wrapped in feeling equals belief. Never said anything about emotion, did he? Although he does speak about emotions. He said, thought wrapped in feeling equals belief. Now, I'm not saying, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, whether the feeling, but it has to be, if you're giving it a name, it has to begin with thought, in my mind. Who agrees with that? Yeah. And so the reason I really wanted to dissect this is because we are forever in this life living. We are forever in this life encountering. Do you realize that we have encountered more in the last 2 years emotionally than we have since 1918? Are you giving yourselves a break? What are you doing to create more compassion for yourself, more joy, balance, more fun, more love? What are you doing to take care of yourself in this emotional onslaught? Anybody?
Taking time to rest.
Essential. Do you see how we're not necessarily running out the door to take care of ourselves? We really, yesterday, Mary and I were sitting there and we listed all the things we had to do. I gotta finish refinishing the table, I gotta do this, I gotta fix that drawer, I gotta do it. And then I looked at my phone and I went, sunny skies, 80 degrees. Let's go fishing. And there's no G in fishing. And we went and spent the entire day at Lake Collins, an hour away, 1 hour. I saw osprey, lots of them, mud sparrows, Canadian geese, beautiful wildflowers. My soul felt so revived. How essential is it for you to get out and do what do you love doing? Just start there. Anybody, what do you love to do that just takes you out of your feelings?
Being in nature.
Being in nature.
Dancing. Dancing.
Dancing. Dancing, yes.
Go to the beach.
Beach, yeah.
Going to the beach. Going on a cruise. Anything else?
Gardening.
Gardening, beautiful. Music. So last but not least, let's look at emotions are collected in the subconscious and accumulate. They don't last. They don't last, but they accumulate. So we're having how many a day? A lot. Yeah, we're having a lot. And then we're naming them. So will you with me be mindful of that this week? Will you kind of look at, and that, so emotions are like, oh, my heart rate, my body, oh my God, those are emotions. And then look how fast you name them. Good, bad. And then put them in the file, create a belief, stamp it, and move on. And beliefs influence our inner responses and core mental causes of our feelings and our emotions. So once we have a belief, we don't have to think about it anymore. Do you see? We just move along. We've known that before. We just move along. Oh yeah, that happened. Oh and yeah, that one I don't even have to spend any time with because I've already, that's already in the file. And influence other people's definitions. We're taught how to feel. We've been defined a lot of things we don't even have to think about. We didn't even define it. Our parents told us how to feel. Did your parents like ask you how you feel? Jeez, that was like a minefield. Yeah. I mean, wipe that look off your face. That's my proudest thing. But apparently I can't, I'm not. You just know. You just know. And by the way, when we're looking at effects, we don't pray to effects, right? Emotions are effects. There aren't things. They're just effects. Now, I'm not saying that you should just go rampant, right? Just go ramble on people. But notice the intensity of your reaction. Because the ones that are more intense are the ones that you want to give attention to. They're the ones that might have a deeper connection to something. Primary family issue, those are good. Yeah, those are good. How about social, definitions? I'm a girl, right? Any other ideas on social, like you don't even think about it, you just are that has been defined? Any ideas on that? Something that has been defined that you've never even looked at, you just go with it? It's deep stuff, guys, deep stuff. And so last but not least, when we talk about welcoming our emotions, this usually requires humility, courage, strength, because it could be a tough exercise. My Larry calls it root canal. We have some conversations and he said, yeah, it's like a root canal.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy, have those. Let me finish up here. I'm just gonna walk over here, right, Doug? Walk over here.
Perfect.
All this technology, just really want to thank Ruth and all of you and Doug and everybody that makes all this happen, because it's extraordinary. And I hope everybody online is enjoying all of this, being able to be there and with us at the same time. So in conclusion today, what I got out of this is peace. I think for many, many years, I have had shame around my emotions. Remember, shame is guilt is I did that thing, shame is I am that thing. And I have literally been, well, maybe there's just something in me that can't be fixed. Maybe I'm broken. You know, maybe I can't control my temper, maybe, and the profanity that goes with some of my emotions. When I see, oh, maybe it's that Scorpio moon that I have. It is my temper. But now I know that I'm human. Isn't that wonderful? I'm a human being that instinctually encounters objects, situations, circumstances, conditions, and I react. And because of this teaching, I've made a conscious choice to look at what I'm naming them, to look at what I believe of them, and to revisit that and change that narrative, to own I am perfect, complete, and whole, right now, right here, always, and so are you. And every day, I can change my thinking, change my life. So let us pray. Shout out something that you would like to leave here today. As we pray for Ukraine, as we pray for our leaders all over the world.
Misunderstandings.
Misunderstandings.
Doubt.
Doubt.
Fear.
Self-criticism.
Self-criticism. Yes. Balance.
Balance.
Not
Not
take that
enoughness.
with us today. Yes.
Not enoughness.
Oh, not enoughness. So we know that there is a power I call love. Infinite love, infinite source, infinite abundance, infinite compassion, a beautiful life, wisdom, intelligence, all that is good. It is good. As it is infinite and cannot be opposed and cannot be annihilated, it must be good. And that good is the kingdom. And that life is my life. And the life of each of us here, each of us watching us on Zoom, on YouTube. I am perfect, complete, and whole. And I know that for everyone, because what is known in the one mind is known to all. And I want to know. I want to know what is in that one mind. Because every time I open to what is already there, don't have to find it, don't have to look for it, don't have to create it. It's already there. And every time I see it, I believe it. And what I believe, I achieve. And so right here, right now, this week, and forevermore, I am perfect, complete, and whole, and I see my reflection in every sentient being. The ones I like and the ones I don't like. The animals, nature, I am a reflection of the one that gave me life. And so I love my emotions. And I mindfully categorize them. And I mindfully and with compassion and forgiveness for giving love to myself, I choose wisely and create my beliefs with the purpose that I'm here for in my life, which is to love. Everything, everything, everything is a return to love. And so this prayer is answered. I hit it with a conviction. I'm sure of it. I believe it. And I'm so grateful for the law that makes it so. I release my word. No worries whatsoever. Take my hands off of it. I let it be so. And let's affirm together. And so it is.
I know all is well. Every step is true. Living in the heart of God. Every breath is new. I know all is well. Every step is true. Living in the heart of God. Every breath is new. And every falling raindrop is a miracle. Every rising sun will show the way. The universe conspires to shower blessing, accept its sacred magic every day. And every falling raindrop, it is a miracle. Every rising sun will show the
Hello. I just want to say my spice today, Reverend Sharon, is peaceful joy. And that comes from being a part of this community because we support each other so perfectly in such kind and loving ways. And it is because we are a community. And as a community, we are offering you an opportunity to give so that we can keep continuing to support each other and those outside, those everybody in our lives that we come in contact with. There are multiple ways that you can give. You can send a personal check to the address on our screen. You can, when you shop on Amazon, you can use Amazon Smile and click on Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. You can also go to our beautiful website. I just love it. saccsl.org, and when you can have multiple ways to donate through credit card, PayPal, or Square. So please, as you stay muted, prayer requests, pardon me. This is a great resource that I have to say I take full advantage of. So you can go online and you can request prayers at, guess where else? saccsl.org. And there your prayers requests will be received and we will pray on them for an entire week. Now, as we stay muted, please say our abundance affirmation. Abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever-expanding infinite good. And so it is. And so carrying on in this theme of abundance and all that is good, the Outreach Committee has picked the Empowered Women as our support for this quarter. And we chose Women's Empowerment because May is Mother's Day. Go check out on their website. They do great things. They support women getting back into the workforce, and they also support the families. You can send a check. You can mail a check directly to them, or you can go through our website, donate through our website, and just remember to put in the memo that it is for the women's empowerment. And if you send them a check directly, please put on there in the memo that it comes from Sacramento Centers for Spiritual Living. Well, I guess I'll continue on. So we meet in person and on Zoom on the 1st, 3rd, 5th Sundays, and only on Zoom the 2nd and 4th Sundays. So please mark that on your calendar. I guarantee I'm going to be there the next in-person Sunday.
Okay. Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, go ahead, Sharon. What is Sharon going ahead with? Oh, my class. I took my mic off, so I'm going to shout. If you want to learn about the science of mind, like what is science? Like why do we have that as our name? We use quantum physics, and we can learn a lot from this class. It's an all-day workshop, but we do have fun. It's not really. It's so fun. It's so fun. Science is so fun. Do you have a belief about that? So come and join me it's one of my favorite things to do. So come in and learn the basics of quantum mechanics so you can use those mechanics in your life. Here we go, Mary.
The microphone's up there.
It's, that's right.
Oh, and releasing today's beautiful service and message and music and all that's good. We just give thanks for today, the beautiful weather, the camaraderie of love right here, and feel it through the video, and just so grateful, grateful, grateful. And so we take this gratitude out into the world, and we have it in our hearts and we spread it, because we are love. We are who we've been waiting for, to bring peace upon this planet, to love each other. And so together we say, and so it is. And enjoy our closing song with that. Great.
Thank you so much. We're gonna sing this song that's written by J.D. Martin and Jan Garrett.